All right, we are recording. Geraldine, you want to take it away?
Sure. Do you want me to start with the actual training first, or do you want to start with announcements and recognition?
Yeah, let's go do that first, and that way, as people hop on, they'll be able to get the training. Well, welcome to tonight's. What is tonight? The 23rd. It's the 23rd of September to our team call. And thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy evening to be on here. We are going to do a little bit of recognition and then some announcements. And then Geraldine is going to talk to us about focus and some time suckers. So I'm super excited to hear all about that, because that's always good for everybody. Regardless of how long you've been in the business. Those are good things to hear. So I'm just going to go over here and read off some Success Club first of all. And let's see, congratulations to Holly Mahoney and Cassie Zider and Jill Sitzman and Mary Frazier, who have all already hit Success Club for the month. And then there are a ton of people. Well, there's actually a few people with 4, and that is Amanda Markham and Cassie Robb. They're so close to hitting Success Club. And then there are a bunch of us who have points on the board, and absolutely it's doable for this month. I mean, it's doable every month, even at the last day of the month, we know that. But this is definitely really exciting stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through. These people have 2 points to my knowledge. Kristen Petty, Jennifer Smith, Christina Watkins, Stacy Shane, Adrian, Jesse, Dina Harris, Aubrey Grimm, Rachel Henry, and Jenny Terrio. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody. There are 2 people that I see have 1 point on the board, and that is Keith Earnhardt and Don Parker. And then for personal volume, last week we had Geraldine with over 500 and Holly had 285, and then the ones over 150 were myself and Jen Smith and Keith. Is it Earhart or Earnhardt? How do you know? And I will say I did not pull the PV from my own downline, so I may be missing a few, and I apologize about that. So great job, everybody. It's just an exciting month, and I think it's even more exciting now that we've got 2 programs to pull from that are on special for this last week of the month. So there is absolutely no reason that we can't all hit our goals for the month of September. And then announcements. Of course, I've been flooding the page, and I apologize for that with all kinds of things on the team page. But let's see, this Saturday and Sunday is Super Saturday. And then we've got the Fall Classic starting. Registration is already open. Make sure you've got a partner. If you don't, then message us on the team page, and then we'll help you find somebody to pair up with. If you're not familiar with what the Fall Classic is, it is basically a fun way to earn prizes through the month of October, and you're simply pairing up with another coach to have more accountability. And sometimes you do need somebody to shoot you straight and get you back on track and hold you accountable. So that's a really fun way to do it. And then the company will give you prizes based on the number of points that you have, both single and as a team. And then anything else? Announcements? Those are the top 2 things with the announcements. I did put a video on the team page today. If you have not seen it, I don't think that I tagged anybody in it yet, of all the updates from leadership. So please look for that. It is close to about 45 minutes long, but there's a lot in there. And I'm going to try and pull some things, to do some future training on. But there are some time-sensitive things that would be really good for you guys to make your way through that. And, of course, since it's on YouTube, you can pause it and do 15 minutes here and there and get through that. But I think that's about it on me.
All right, you guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes, I'm assuming? Good, okay. All right, I am going to talk to you today and share a little bit about some training that I've been getting from Darren Hardy. I actually paid $1,000 to do one of his courses called Insane Productivity, and I am just about halfway through the program, and I cannot tell you how amazing it has been. So I sort of tried to just take some nuggets from what he shared in several different modules, and I think that you'll find them very beneficial. Now, they're not specifically for Beachbody coaches, but I think all of us struggle with being productive, right? And you'll find some of these statistics and things that he says quite interesting. So I'm going to talk about 4 productivity crushing or sucking activities, all right? And I'm actually going to put them in order of what I think really we struggle with the most. So I'm going to kind of hit the most important ones and work backwards here. So the first one I'm going to talk about is multitasking. All right. And I know a lot of us, especially as women, we kind of pride ourselves on being able to do several things at once. And certainly there are certain things we can do at once, like a physical and a mental task. It's like we can drive and talk, right? Or we can drive and chew gum. But there's certain things, if you're using the same part of your brain, you physically cannot multitask. It's actually called switching. So I'm going to have you do something real quick. And I know you're all on mute, but I know you can hear me. So to yourself, while you're there, count from 1 to 10. So just do it. Just count. 1, 2, 3, as fast as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, just count. Now say the alphabet, just A through J, as fast as you can. So just do it. I see some mouths moving. Are you doing it? Try it. Seriously. Okay. Now say A1, B2, C3, D4 as fast as you can. Harder, right? Like you have to slow down and think a little bit, right? So I thought that was really funny. So 28% of our day, which is almost a third of our day, of productive focus is wasted on multitasking, or like I said, what he calls switching. And he made the comment, it makes you dumber than being stoned, which I thought was interesting. He said your IQ, when you multitask, actually drops 10 points versus being on marijuana, where your IQ will drop 5 points. Isn't that neat? That blows my mind. And we do it all the time. So I thought that was interesting. So like I said, you cannot use the same part of your brain. Okay, hang on 1 second. Ladies, Sean. Sorry, we had youth group at our house and they're all sort of leaving now, so I apologize. So yeah, you cannot use the same part of your brain simultaneously. So 2 things. Now we have my dog singing. Isn't that great? All right, so 2 things at once. When you try to do 2 things at once, it creates something else. And at first, I didn't understand what he meant by that. But he says, for example, driving and dialing the phone does not equal driving the phone. It equals driving while dialing the phone, which is something totally different, right? It's like an accident waiting to happen. It's not something we can do. So hence, multitasking produces a stress response. This is really interesting. An adrenal rush that, when prolonged, can damage cells that form new memory. You can actually have memory loss by continually doing that. So multitasking equals less efficiency. All right, it makes tasks harder and more stressful. And actually give yourself which is ADD.
Yeah.
So we are creating a lot of background noise. I know it's not here now. There we go. So you're actually giving yourself ADD. So there's people who out there who take medication for this, and we're actually acquiring this deficit disorder by trying to multitask on a high level. All right. So chronic high stress multitasking causes gaps in short-term memory, lapses in attentiveness, loss of concentration, communication problems with others, and stress symptoms like shortness of breath. So, I mean, it's a physical problem, okay? So strategy. How do we get through and get past multitasking? We single task, all right? We don't have to do everything, we just do the next thing. So do one thing at a time. So if you're on the phone with someone, like now you're on a phone call, hopefully you're not scrolling and reading email, right? Or reading a book besides. I mean, we physically can't do things at once. And I will tell you, I am awful for this. I physically have started since doing this program, when I'm on a phone call, I shut off, like if I'm on one phone, I shut my other phone off and I turn off the computer, because I have a really bad tendency to want to do several things at once, and then I'm not 100% there, right? Do you ever find yourself doing that? And it's almost like tying my hands behind my back. It's really, really difficult for me to do that because I've acquired such a bad habit. So there's two things that Darren Hardy recommends we do. One thing is called clearing the calculator. So if you're about to do a task, or you're about to have a meeting or a conversation, and you've just finished doing something, he says, clear the calculator, get everything out of your mind, and focus in on that one task. Or if you're dealing with an issue, whether it's with coaching or dealing with a customer or whatever, put it in a box, put it on a shelf, know that you can come back to that at a later time. And so often we feel like we have to handle everything at once, but when we do that, things just don't get done. So I thought that was great. So one of the challenges I'm going to have you try for this week is, for 1 week, do not multitask. Okay? So for 1 week, try to focus in on one thing at a time. And that's tough because we are just so not that way. But just try that. And I will tell you, when I did it this last week, I actually became more patient. I got more done, and I actually even slept better. How cool is that? Isn't that neat to be able to get to sleep better? Okay, the rest of them are going to move a little bit more quickly. All right, number 2, being busy. We all like to be busy, right? Busy, busy, busy. But a lot of people are busy, busy, busy and accomplish very little. So being busy, Darren Hardy says, feels great. We feel important. We feel needed, validated, productive, he puts in quotation marks, and distracted, though, from real work. As a culture, we're obsessed with constantly racing to fulfill that sense of productivity. Looking busy, but accomplishing little. And he calls this active non-action. So distractions. What are distractions? He says they offer us relief from the work we need to do. Like, it just causes us to procrastinate. And I don't know, does anyone procrastinate? You know, I do. We want to do what's fun and what's easy, and doing what's hard is tough. So we allow distractions like phone calls, texts, emails, and my favorite, when your Facebook notifications, if you're on Facebook doing your invites and your Facebook notifications are going crazy, is it not so hard to keep checking your messages and see who's writing you? Right? It's so hard to ignore that little red number. So he says, and this really amazed me, on average, we are distracted every 3 minutes, and it takes us 11 minutes to regain our focus. And most of the time, 40% actually, so almost half of the time, we do not even get back to what we were originally doing. That's how distracted we can become. So he says, for example, getting REM sleep, getting real deep restorative sleep. He said it doesn't matter how many hours of sleep you get. It depends on how many hours of REM sleep you get as to how rested you are. So it's the same idea of being busy. Are you sitting at the computer and going through your books and cleaning up your desk and going through your email? And you could be doing that for hours, but how many invites did you make? How many follow-ups did you do? Right? So it's really easy to be busy but not doing what we need to do to move our businesses forward. So moving from what he says, reacting, to creating. Work on your own agenda. Don't respond to others. He says getting emails and messages, it causes you to actually respond to other people as opposed to doing your agenda, what you know needs to be done each day. So, for example, one of the things that I equate this to in our business is doing our outgoing content first when you sit down during your power hour. So you do your, your Facebook content, your posts, you do your invites, that kind of thing, before you start reading your email and looking at who's written you, right? You sort of do that outgoing first. The other thing is a question I wanted to ask you, and this really struck me funny. Can you sit in silence? He said, we're often afraid of ourselves. It's funny how we've been so, the frenetic energy, everything's so busy, and we kind of thrive on that he said most people cannot sit in silence. And it's called attention atrophy, because our attention is like a muscle, and it will go away if we don't practice it. So I thought that was extremely interesting. So strategies. Don't mistake rushing for results, movement for achievement, or activity for productivity. So really looking at, and I'm not going to get into all the things that we should be doing in Beachbody, that's for another call, but certainly most of you know what we need to be doing. So instead of trying to do more to get better results, opt to do more of the right things. And I know, Traci, you've talked to your team about this, right? Like focusing their energy on doing the right activities. So he recommends doing what's called productivity intervals, where we do a sprint and recover. And we all know physically that works the best for fat loss. Well, for productivity, it's the same idea. He recommends a 90-minute window, and we talk about a power hour. So whatever works for you, whether it's 90 minutes, 60 minutes, or even 30 minutes of focused, no distractions. You turn your phone off. You don't answer the door. I mean, it's like extreme focus for that block of time. And then you just work, silence, and you just go at it. And then once that time is up, you physically get up and you must take a mental rest. And he says that increases so much productivity beyond just sitting at your desk for hours, which again, I have noticed when I do that, it makes a huge difference too. So that power hour is so key. So very quickly, the very last two I'm going to breeze through. His third point, novelty. What am I missing syndrome? And this one cracks me up. He said it's continuous partial attention. We're busy being connected. So how much are you connected to? We've got RSS feeds, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, we've got email, we've got text, phone calls. I mean, we are connected to everything. And I know with my husband, he's really big into reading the news and the Drudge Report, and he's constantly on it. And it's like, it's not going to kill you not to read it for like 30 minutes, right? Like you're not going to miss anything all that important. But we have this attention where we have to constantly, we're afraid we're going to miss something. So, he said, when we don't know important news is coming, we are driven to check incessantly. So do you find on Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you're waiting for a message, like every single red number that comes up, you're like checking it? Like, who is it? Okay, I'm waiting for this. What's going on? So he said it creates an obsessive compulsive behavior. And I have so gotten into that where I just get obsessed with those Facebook notifications. He says long-term studies prove the most important human discipline involved in long-term success is the ability to forego immediate gratification for a larger but delayed reward. And that goes for whether it's physical fitness, our business, whatever, right? That immediate gratification, putting that off for our long-term why, our long-term goals. So strategy, mindset shift. Spend less time following other people's lives and more time leading your own. Now, that's not to say as coaches, we do look at other successful coaches. That's not to say we can't learn from one another, but you still have to lead your own life, right? And run your own business. Separate the world from your world. Be in the world, but not of it. figure out what news, education, information, alerts, updates, that you need to support you and your family's needs, and then turn the rest off. Figure out if look at your email inbox. How many emails do you get a day that are not necessary? That you're like, oh, it's just clogging up my inbox. It just takes time to just go through. Get rid of them, unsubscribe, do whatever it takes to simplify what information input that you're allowing into your life. And then again, he said, your success hinges on your willingness to risk missing some info, which I thought was really a cool point. So again, just another little thing for you to do here. Write down 3 things that you can turn off. Obviously, some things are important to what we do. Some things are not. So in your life, what are 3 things you can turn off? All right, and then finally, wanting to be wanted. It's a human need to be validated and accepted. Now, how does this zap our productivity? Every email, text, blog, comment, Facebook response, tweet, whatever, gives us a squirt of that love drug, he calls it. Every time somebody messages us, doesn't it make you feel good, right? Every time you get a friend request or whatever, it makes us feel good. So he said the game-changing mindset for getting around this productivity issue. He said, he made an interesting comment. If people around you are always happy with you, chances are you're not doing your greatest work. And I know as a health coach, I've thought about that. I think if I am always saying what I think people want to hear, even it may not be what's best for them, am I really doing the best that I can do as a coach? As a mother, if I always say yes to my kids when they ask me a question, Mommy, can I have ice cream for breakfast? Boy, they'd really like me, right? If I let them have ice cream for breakfast, but it's not always doing my best work as a parent. So it's the same idea that sometimes it's not about pleasing everybody, but really buckling down and doing what we need to do. And he says, people don't like the status quo ruffled. He said, the higher you go, the fewer people will like you. And that's sometimes an uncomfortable place to be, and why a lot of people get really comfortable with where they're at. And I guess what I'm really getting to is getting outside your comfort zone to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Sometimes it is understanding that you're going to move past some people that you're used to being with. And they kind of expect to just, sit around and not do a whole lot. And you guys got places to go. You guys have goals for your families. And sometimes it takes being different from those around you to accomplish those goals. So he said, whose opinion do you need to stop caring about? Who are you trying to impress? He says, ask this question. Who will cry at your funeral? Who will be upset at your funeral? He said for him, maybe 10 people. He said, I don't mind the rest. I don't worry about pleasing the rest. I worry about those 10 people who I care about, my family. Other than that, I don't worry about them. I take care of what I need to do, what works best for me. So again, just think about that. Whose opinion do you need to stop worrying about today and start focusing on your goals? So just in summary, going now backwards to front. Number 1, so productivity crushing activities, wanting to be wanted. Number 2, novelty. What am I missing? Number 3, being busy but accomplishing little. And number 4, the big one, multitasking. It's a myth, and attempting to do so is killing you. All right. So I just thought those were some neat things, and some I think affect maybe can be parallel to our Beachbody business more than others. But I know for me, when I've sort of those few things I've asked you to do, when I've sat down and tried to figure out, where am I at with this? Honestly, what am I doing that's sucking my productivity? When I'm not focused, what is it that I'm doing? It's almost painful sometimes to realize, man, I've gotten myself into some nasty habits. When my kids are like, Mom, you can't get off your phone, or, you're stuck to this electronics. And I'm thinking, here I am yelling at my kids because they're wanting to be on their iPods all day. I'm not a very good role model. At least I haven't been. And I'm starting to try and change that so that when I'm with my family, I'm with my family. And when I'm working, I'm working. And that, and sometimes the lines get blurred. We work for ourselves. I understand that. There are the odd times. But the more you can make that line, I think the more productive and the more you enjoy your family too. You don't feel like you're constantly working and not able to get that mental downtime. So I know I said a lot. I hope that it was beneficial. Does anyone have any questions or even something to add to that?
That was good.
Yeah, let's see, Tracy. Do you guys read the I wasn't reading the text. I was having a hard enough time blocking out my youth group clan leaving the house. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, like Tracy said, I'm going to be spending less time checking Facebook and spending that time creating, content for Instagram and Pinterest. Throwing out catalogs instead of feeling like I have to look through them. Yeah, it's amazing what you can get rid of, time suckers, and it might only feel like 5 minutes here and there, but when you take those little nooks and crannies of your day, you might have a good solid 45 minutes that, holy cow, you could have, invited 15 people, or followed up with 10 or gone through and written some content for your next week of Facebook. So, and, use Hootsuite to put it in there so you're not stuck on Facebook all day long. So, yeah, I'm unsubscribing from emails. Yeah, I need to buckle down and do that too, because my inbox is crazy. So yeah, so hopefully you guys, again, none of that was really earth-shattering. I think sometimes it's just in a place where you're ready to receive it. It's amazing how it hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, wow, I didn't realize I had such bad habits. So that's it, you guys. Tracy, do you have anything to add?
No, not at all. It was good.
Darren Hart, we've got good stuff, and you don't have to spend that money to do that insane productivity. He, wrote The Compound Effect, and I'm sure you've already read that, you guys. Heck, read it again. Do the activities that he recommends in the book. And then, of course, Success Magazine. You can either have it sent to your house. That is a magazine I would read. Or definitely go in our Coach Online office and check the Success tab. And that's already covered in our coach fee. That's free. So
yeah, in terms of the coaching, I think the part that I struggle with it. I know that it's true, but it's still a hard thing, is to do the outgoing contact stuff first, because it's so easy to get into the reactive mode, and you get a message and then you respond to it, and you get a message and you respond to it, and you feel like you've been working all day long, but you haven't done anything. You've just been responding and responding. So yeah, that one's a huge one for me.
Awesome. And I just was reading these comments, and Cassie said her husband walked in and said, "Do you guys do marijuana often?" Yeah, it's like we are. It's like, just tell him, yeah, when we're multitasking, it's like we're stoned. That's funny. Talk about context.
Yeah.
Awesome, you guys. Well, it's 9:30. I say we hop off and enjoy the rest of the night with your families, guys.